Okay, my name is Sarah. I'm one of the pastors here, so hello and welcome. Obviously, being Father's Day, I'm going to be talking about Father's love, and I want to add to what has already been said. As much as I'll be talking about fathers, and I appreciate some of us have not had good experiences. Some of us possibly, you think of Father's Day and Mother's Day, and you're not overly pumped at all because your memories, everyone else is full of love and joy and excitement and how great my dad was and that sort of thing, but you're not feeling it. I want to acknowledge that. And I want to take us to a point where we are actually talking about what a father's love, a human father's love, should look like. And it's just letting you know, like a mother, we're not actually ever going to fully attain that. But we do have a Father who loves us so much, as has already been stated. And Lisa's word, if you haven't been told you're loved, and you're welcomed and appreciated and you're feeling quite low, you do have a godly Heavenly Father who loves you so much. And if that is the only thing that is loving on you, then you're actually set. You're fine. Because that love never wavers. Never wavers. It's concrete. It is the only one reliable constant in our whole life. And we might have people who love us, but they're going to let you down at times. You're going to let people down. God's love will never ever let you down. I'm going to focus on the passage about the prodigal son. Prodigal children is something that also hits home for, I guess, many of us. I'm going to read the passage and then I want to break it down and just draw out some key points. So at this point, if you know the story of the prodigal son, this is the second of two sons who said, "Dad, I'm up and leaving. I want my money, I want my inheritance, and I'm leaving you." I want us to focus in at a time when he has been out there, he's spent his money, he's hanging with pigs, and he realises he needs to go home to his own father, and realises his mistakes, realises where he is not good, and realises that at least if he went home to his dad and served like a slave, at least he's going to get fed. So we're coming in at verse 20. "And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate." We're starting from a point here where it's not a good move for the younger son to say, "Hey, give me my inheritance," when their dad's still alive. But in that time, it was an incredibly shameful thing to be doing, to be asking. And the community would have probably had some strange thoughts even about the dad who actually gave it to him. Also, this is the younger son asking. So on so many levels, this was shameful. Humiliation personified for the whole family, not just for the son. So moving into just that first part, "And he rose and came to his father, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him." Now again, back in the culture, it was not a done thing for I guess anybody, but especially a man, to be running. And I can only imagine in the outfits that they were wearing, and he's wearing sandal-like things. He's not wearing his Nike runners and his active gear. He's actually wearing long robes, and you'd have to be hitching that to then be running and making sure you don't lose a shoe along the way. he ran. And when he got to his son, he kissed him and he embraced him. If anything, this is an opportunity for him to be standing there, hands on the hips and saying, what are you doing here? And or, I don't want to see you. And or, stay over there. And or, I'm waiting for an apology before I even ordained to come. He could have said so many things, but he didn't. He ran, he kissed, and he embraced. One of the only other times we see this happening is in Genesis 33:4, when Jacob and Esau are reconciled. And that situation also is full of nerves and anxiety, and the positioning of who's going in first, and sending in a lot of cattle and whatever as a means of, I'm going to apologise. But when they see each other, they kiss and ran and embrace each other. Second thing I want to point out here is that, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. So his dad would have been spending every day searching the horizon, looking for his son to come back. Will he come back today? Is that him down there? No. Is that? No. And therefore, the excitement of when you see someone you're looking for and they turn up, and then you run all that way to meet halfway. This is such an amazing story, but situation quite in contrast to the environment of the time. The next portion, and the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said, we're going to get on to that in a minute. What is here is that prior to verse 20 that I had there, the son coming to he realised what he had done, where he was, and what he was going to do. He's got to go back. And it says in verse 18 here, 18, this is what the son is saying to himself. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he had this speech prepared. And no doubt as he's travelling, he's going over, this is what I'll say, this is what I'll say, this is what I'll say, and really show my sorrow, my regret, and Father, please take me back. He really only got halfway through that speech before he was interrupted. The father, after slapping kisses and hugs and embracing him, and then they're having to obviously walk back to the house or where they were living, the father actually interrupted him and cut him off. The father was not interested in hearing the full 3-page sorry essay, or receiving something in writing, or having the father was not there to say, okay, what else and what else? Are you sorry? Yep, okay, listen, I'll think about it, and you can sit in the naughty corner while I think about whatever. He never said that. He actually interrupted the son halfway through the speech and said, but the father said. And we're about to read on. So here, this is highlighting that the son's sin is forgiven before he's fully confessed. Just the fact that the son has reappeared lights the dad's heart and fires him off to be ready to say the next portion. But the father said to his servants, bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. Being given a robe, a ring, and the robe, the ring, there are 2 R's there, and the shoes, highlighting honour, reputation, and status. So the son has come back, no doubt, looking pretty revolting, smelling revolting if he's been with the pigs and feeding them, and revoltingly dirty if he's had to traverse land to get back to his dad. He's not going to be spick and span. He's not called in at the local bathroom and done his hair and cleaned himself up. He's actually arrived looking and smelling pretty revolting. But the dad is then straight away giving him the robe, the shoes and the ring, immediately acknowledging honour, status and reputation are being reinstated straight away. It's not just here a pair of old shoes for you or let me give you a clean outfit. It's actually lavishly giving him everything to reinstate where he was. We see Joseph being given by Pharaoh a ring, a signet ring, as a means of Joseph, you are now second in command. It's a sign of status. We also saw King Xerxes give a signet ring to Haman as if he was second in charge. And then that ring was repossessed, but then given to Mordecai. So the giving of these sorts of things was a sign of status and reputation, and a status and an acknowledgement of you are worthy and valuable and deeply appreciated for what you have to offer. And bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Again, we have another sign of something that is rarely done. I was reading something where generally these sorts of feasts were, say, once a year, or for special occasions. But this son has literally come in, not already wearing lovely clothes and bringing lots of gifts. He's coming in as the lowest of the low. And as a Jew, him working amongst the pigs would have been literally rock bottom. He could go no lower. So the fattened calf being brought in, a festive banquet being put on for him, it was party time. Now this story comes after the story of the lost coin and the lost sheep. So Jesus is using this as another parable to tell a similar story. You just give up everything. You leave everything behind to go and look for that lost coin. You leave everything behind to go for that sheep. This father was over the moon for his son having returned. I think something we can take from this is that we were all prodigals. Some of us still are. Some of us have moments of being prodigals. We're going to go away. God, I'll let you look after this, that and the other, and I'm praying for this, but I'll look after this part of my life. I'll do the finances, and I'll pray over my family. I'll pray over my job, but I'm not going to pray over the finances. And it may or may not be intentional. Or it's just something that slips my mind. It's not like I'm handing everything to God. So we all have aspects of being prodigals. And we certainly had that aspect of being a prodigal. God has never forsaken us. And God has left others behind to go for you, each and every one of you and me. And what I would like us to do is those of us who have had that moment of coming to God, what was that moment like? What was that first love like? And it doesn't matter whether it happened as a child or as a teenager or last week. In Matthew we read how Jesus says, I tell you the truth, unless you turn from your sins and become like little children, you will never get into the kingdom of heaven. So we are children of God. But I think sometimes those of us who have been a Christian for a while, we lose our first love. We lose what it's all about. And we get bogged down with family and life and jobs. And being an adult is so hard. Like really, I don't want an adult. I keep saying as people turn 18 and 21, you've got to start adulting now. But I can't say it's something to look forward to much of the time. But I think back when I became a Christian and the people I was hanging with, some of those people, life got too much for them. And God wasn't there and is not there for them now. Well, I mean, God is there for them, sorry. They have walked away. They have walked away. They have lost their first love. And life has got too hard. This adulting thing is so hard. What I'd like to say is be an adult, but also be childlike. Now, that's not to the extent that we just remain, as Paul says, remain on milk. We actually need to be growing in our faith. But we've got to also hang on to that childlike excitement and joy of the Father. And something we have been doing, I think, in the last little while, and Sarah Cheeseman, golly, she's just, if you could bottle that and hand it out, we'd all be millionaires, I'm sure. But she has something, and many of us do. Some of us, it's just maybe not quite so obvious, but that first love, that joy, that excitement of seeing God. And when you look at little children, and you're going to get honesty there, they're learning, they're growing, they're doing things, but as parents and responsible adults around them, teachers or aunts, uncles, grandparents, whatever, the kids, you don't leave it all up to the kids as to what they're going to do, whether they're going to run out that door and take the lift by themselves, or whether you're going to remain in here or stay out there, and whether they eat, chips for breakfast, lunch and dinner. But as adults and caring parents and whatever, we are meant to be looking out for them. And the kids just have a great joy and an excitement. And there are some kids that actually just sit there and will take it all in. We had something throughout the week, a prayer meeting, and one of the pastors came in with his little one, and she spent that whole time sitting there. She was munching away on a biscuit, making a lovely mess everywhere, which is very sweet. But she was happy to sit there for the whole time. And yet I know some kids, if you had just pulled up, put the brakes on in the pram, they'd be trying to get out before you've even made sure the brake is on. And there is no way they're going to sit there for longer than 30 seconds. Kids, they're just so beautiful, so different, so varied. And we need to see that and respond to God accordingly. We've got the footy finals happening at the minute, and you've got people who just are going off their minds with their teams and screaming and yelling and getting all the colours and whatever. Do we have that passion for God? I don't think some of us do. I don't think some of us do. But we need to be childlike. We need to have the trust and the confidence and the openness to be learning, the humility and dependence, genuine wonder, willing obedience, simple honesty, and to be joyful and excited. And that's what kids are doing. Kids are out there exploring and we see it at the play cafe. They're playing with different toys, and some will sit and build and create, and others will just be totally removing everything from the creche and taking it into the kids' min, and bringing everything from the kids' min into the creche. And they're busy and they're active, but they've got adults there who are guiding and supervising, and that is what God is doing to us. And like a child will not be allowed to have chips for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and the child might respond negatively and cry, have a tanty. That's what we do. When God says, no, wait. No, I don't want you to go through that door. Or yes, I want you to go and do this. I want you to hand me everything. I want your heart. I want your soul. I want everything. And we'll say, no, not yet. Or we'll go off cranky because God's not answering our prayers. There's a reason for God not answering your prayers at that time or those particular prayers. So we have to be childlike and just trust God. Also, quite often with young kids more so, I think it changes as they get a little bit older, but if you were to tell a child off or send them to time out or say no to chips and they throw the hissy fit, after a period of time, for some kids it's not long, others it takes a bit longer, they're actually just going to come back at you as if nothing happened. They're going to be full of love and care and concern and invite you to read a book or come and play or can I now watch TV or whatever. They are incredibly forgiving. They don't hang on to what you said to me last week or did yesterday. I think as Christians, we need to have that too. We need to have it for each other. We need to have it for others out there. We need to have that childlike, simplistic love and care that we get from God. He gives to us and we share it with others. So as I'm finishing up, if the music team would like to come back up, please, and get us ready. I'd like to, just send us out with hope and reassurance that, like in that story of the prodigal son, God welcomes us back. We can confess, and God actually wants us to confess. He wants us to have a repentant heart and a repentant spirit. But He's not necessarily He's not going to stop and listen to your 5-page apology. He's just going to love on you back. He's going to reinstate you to that high position that He has, where we are sons and daughters of God. We can fellowship with the Holy Spirit and fellowship with Jesus. And we've touched on spiritual mothers and fathers today. We are all spiritual mothers and fathers to generally the people who are younger than us and or even younger in faith. So really step into that. Be brave, but also be aware that others are watching you. And it can be when you're down at the supermarket, it can be in here. And people are picking up on your spiritual walk. And is it 24/7 or is it just between the hours of 9:30 and 12:30 on a Sunday? Some of us are involved in life groups. That is an opportunity also for all of us to be speaking as spiritual mothers and fathers to those around us.